In section 9.1, we're going to look at the periodic table. So the elements are ordered by increasing atomic number, and we saw this trend whenever we were talking about protons and electrons and neutrons before in the previous chapter. So it's increasing by atomic number, which remember is the number of protons. So if we look at the periodic table, it's going to increase, so 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth as far as the atomic number goes. Okay, the columns are known as groups. Okay, so if I say group 1, group 2, that's the column that I'm referring to. And if you remember from our previous chapter, we know that some of the columns actually help us know the number of valence electrons. So when we look at the periodic table, we know that in column 1, which is group 1, they all have 1 valence electron, 2 has 2. We skip this middle section, and then 13 has 3, 14 has 4, 15 has 5, 16 6, 17 has 7, and then 18 has 8, except for helium that only has 2. Okay, so those group numbers actually help us predict how many valence electrons an element would have. Okay, and then the rows are known as periods. And so how I always remember the name of rows is, or the difference between groups and rows is that you put a period at the end of a sentence, and a sentence goes from side to side, not up and down. Okay, so the rows are known as periods, and in the periodic table, there's actually 7 periods, and it actually helps us predict how many energy levels or electron shells that element has. So if we look at the periodic table, you'll see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These are actually pulled out from the periodic table. This is in period 6. This is period 7. But if we were to pick any of the elements, so let's say gallium, I can look at what period it is in, which is in period number 4. So I would know it had 4 energy levels if I were to draw out the Bohr model. Okay, if I looked at silver, silver would have 5. Okay, so doing the practice problems, which element has 2 valence electrons? If we look in column 2 and try to match up which column or which of these elements is in group number 2, column number 2, it is beryllium. Okay, for which element has 2 energy levels? Remember, with energy levels, we're looking at the period, which is the rows. And so the element that is contained within row number 2, the period, is carbon. Okay, how many valence electrons does neon have? So if I go look at the periodic table, I find neon. It's in column 18, so 8. Okay, because remember we kind of ignore the 1, so 8 for neon. And then lastly, how many energy levels does silver have? If I find silver, again, I look at what period number it's in. It's in period number 5, so this element has 5 energy levels.